Okay, I think we're live. First of all, thanks for coming. All right, looks like we got about 20 guys, and the rest hopefully we'll watch on YouTube once we figure out how to get that up. We're not so technologically inclined, so it might take a few days. I'll try and keep this short and quick and simple, because in the end, I want you guys, because you're not going to be as supervised over these next couple of weeks, we want to make sure it's nice and safe. So the first big question here is our why. Why resistance training, especially for this age group? We use resistance training to enhance athletic performance in a safe manner. It has been very effective, especially for a sport like baseball, where the bigger you are, the stronger you are, the harder you throw a ball, the harder you hit a ball, the more successful you'll be. And reps in the cage are great, and we definitely need those, but there's a reason why the guys in the MLB are 200 plus pounds and strong as an ox, because that means you can hit the ball a lot further. So big things to key on whenever you're crafting a workout plan is you want to be safe. That's priority number one, right? The worst strength and conditioning plan is one that makes you injured. And so if you're doing something where you feel unstable, if you're trying to move too much weight, what you could end up doing is creating a situation where you don't get back into the weight room for a few weeks at a time, and now we've lost all that. So that's priority number one. Priority number two, especially at the 15U age, keep it simple. All right. You're not going to see very complex movements out of this here. I'm a big fan of teaching you good motor patterns, and then we're going to master them, right? Because the more you master that motor pattern, that movement, the more weight you can start to use with it in a safe manner. So it might seem boring, especially at this age, but it's effective, right? And we can get creative as we start to learn our bodies more. But for now, especially in this setting, why overcomplicate things? So let's dive right in, all right? And I'll sort of break down how you can build your own, and then I'll show you a few where we'll just run through a quick, simple one. So when you're creating a workout plan, basically it helps to know a little bit about human anatomy. And you don't have to be super smart when it comes to that manner, but start to feel your own muscles and joints. Okay, there's major joints throughout our body: shoulders, hips, knees, our back. Okay, that we like to use our muscles. That's what muscles do. They just move joints. They contract and they relax, and they bring 2 points closer together. Okay, so in our legs, okay, quads, front side, okay, on the back side we've got hamstrings, and we've got our big strong glute muscles in our hips. Okay, for baseball players, your glute muscles are one of the most important muscle groups to develop. Okay, and then as we head further north, okay, we have the core. Okay, our core should not be forgotten. When you think about the human body, we've got a big heavy rib cage, arms, and a big heavy head, all sitting on one single line of vertebrae. Okay, that's the only thing connecting our lower half and our upper half is a spinal column. Right, so a lot of our posture is dependent on core control. Okay, and then when we look up towards our upper body, okay, we've got big pec muscles on the front. Okay, and then big trap muscles on the back. All right, and what's unique about the shoulders is a ton of tiny little muscles that enable us to rotate and reach across our body, behind our body, and up and down, and manipulate our arms and our hands a lot more, because that's what we use to interact with our environment. Okay, so when you set yourself up for any exercise, okay, you got to go through a mental checklist. All right, the first one is always, do I have enough space? Okay, so if we angle our camera down here, you can see that I've got a ton of space through here okay, where I'm not going to hit anyone or run into any other weights or walls or something like that. And not only is that space for doing my exercise, but space just in case I need to escape. Okay, and what I mean by escape is if we're lifting a weight and we feel pain or we feel uncomfortable or unstable, we need to have space to be able to put that weight down, all right, without hurting ourselves or the people around us. Okay, so having enough space is huge. When you start to move, there is no exercise that completely isolates one section of your body or your limb. Okay, you utilize your core and you utilize even the other side of your body whenever you do an exercise. Okay, you're just using either you're using it as a prime mover, okay, or a stabilizer. Okay, so posture and technique is what you really want to focus on as you perform that exercise. Okay, and for a lot of baseball related stuff, it's how well can I hold that posture as I move. Okay, because baseball is a sport of generating a lots of force. Okay, but then also accepting that force. Okay, we've talked about when we throw and when we hit. If my lead leg, okay, is soft underneath me, okay, instead of strong and firm, right, I lose energy into the ground, even whether I'm throwing or hitting. Okay, so maintaining good stiffness and control is another big factor whenever you're doing any sort of an exercise. Okay, so let's dive into a few specific movements. Okay, probably the most important movement you're going to learn as an athlete and as a human is a squat. All right, you can see right now, this is where I'm sitting. Okay, being able to comfortably sit down into a squat, okay, is huge. All right, because it involves a lot of good and quality movement at three major joints. Okay, my hips. Okay, my hips have to go back and forth. Okay, my knees. Okay, flexing and extending. Okay, and then what often a lot of people forget about is my ankles. Okay, I have to be able to dorsiflex is the fancy word we use, but basically bring my shins forward without having my heels come off the ground. Okay. For those guys that wonder, well, how can somebody get deeper into a squat than I can? Usually we have a range of motion deficit at one of those three joints. Okay, and it's not a bad thing. Okay, people are born with different levels of mobility based on what their body tissue is made up of. Okay, what we need to find is a way to comfortably get you as low as we can, okay, in a manner that is safe for you. All right, myself, okay, I have the mobility to be able to go down and up without pointing my toes out to the side. Some guys, okay, might need to flare their toes out to the side. Okay, gives our hips a little bit of mobility. Okay, so on the most basic level, if we want to add some resistance to our squats, okay, I can use a dumbbell for a goblet squat. We've touched on it before. The reason I call it a goblet squat is we hold our dumbbell with the heels of our hands under it like this, okay, and my fingers pointing up. All right, so I hold it off of my chest, okay, and if we look at me from the side, I'm going to focus on pushing my hips back behind me, okay, and keeping this weight moving in a straight line up and down, okay? So my hips drop back, and that weight's going to go up and down. If you look at the lines on the board behind me, you can see that weight, okay, is staying in the same plane the whole time, right? If we look at me down in this bottom position here, okay, my chest is upright, okay? My spine is flat, All right, I'm not curved, okay? I've got my head up, my chest up, okay? And I'm not overarching my back, all right? A lot of people also tend to try and do this with their head. Relax your chin, okay? Keep looking straight ahead, all right? If you look at me from the front, okay? You can see here I've elected to go with toes a little bit more out to the side. This lets me get a little bit deeper down into my squat, because when we think about improving athletic performance, we want to get into positions that we're going to need to be in on the baseball field, okay? This is an easy one for catchers to identify with, but if I'm an infielder, if I were to shift my weight over to the side and put a glove on my hand, now I'm performing my infield short hop, okay? So getting down nice and deep is a big part of this one, because being able to be strong from here as well as up top is important, okay? So I drive up, down, up, down, okay? Common myth you'll hear, don't let your knees go over your toes, okay? It's not as bad as you might think, all right? If we angle this camera down just a little bit, you can see that I have a little bit of space where knee comes out over toe. That's okay, all right? Just as long as my body weight isn't forward out over my toes. I'm sitting basically in the middle of my foot here, all right? For you guys that are older, okay, let's see some of our 18U players using the barbells for their squats. These concepts are still the same. It's just now there's a bar on my back, okay? But if I go up and down, okay, you can see that that bar traces the same line up and down, okay? I'm not tilting forward, I'm not sitting back, and my back isn't rounded, okay? We drive up. So that is a squat, okay? If you want to hit your 3 major leg muscle groups, glutes, hamstrings, quads, you don't need anything more than that, all right? It can get a bit boring, so we're going to go into a few others, but that is one of the most basic movements. And whether you're a baseball player out on a field or you're just at home picking a heavy object up off the ground, you use the same motor pattern, okay? Lunges, okay? Lunges are a way that we can still develop strength in our lower half, but on one side versus the other, okay? Because being a good athlete means being able to control in a variety of positions, not just a stable bilateral position, we say, okay? So you can choose to go with your goblet squat hold again, okay? Or we can have dumbbells on either side, okay? I personally prefer the goblet hold up top because it forces you to keep your chest high, okay? For a side view, okay? Find that split, okay? And drop that knee straight down to the ground, okay? Again, a little bit of knee coming out over the toe is okay, but we don't want to be too far, right? I want to sit back into that hip, okay? Because that also challenges my glutes and my hamstrings, okay? So again, the lower half is simple in respect to the fact that it's very hard to isolate one muscle group from another, okay? There are machines in your Good Lifes and your YMCAs that purely focus on leg extension or hamstring curls, and those are great and fine, but I like to use functional movements like squats and lunges because that's the most easily correlated with being an athlete out on a baseball field, okay? So again, if you want to add weight, okay, hold some dumbbells out to the side or hold one out in front of your chest and challenge your posture and your core at the same time. Okay, now moving north, okay? We touched on this a little bit in our one and only workout that we did the other day, okay? But when I am doing pecs, okay, that's a push or a press forward, okay? Anytime my arms work this way, okay, I'm using the front side of my body, okay? If I start here and I'm pulling back, okay, that's the back side of my body, all right? It's important to keep the weight stacked over your long bones in your body, okay? And what I mean by that is I want to keep a nice, strong 90-degree angle when I'm working, okay? Because that way I don't have to try and control the weight this way, okay? It just moves the whole time loaded on this axis here, okay? So if I'm looking to get heavier weights up, okay, I put them on my knees, okay, and then I'm going to roll back, okay, and put my feet down there, all right? So if I line myself up here, okay, you'll see that as I come down, this weight stacked right over top of my elbow, and then I press up, okay? The more I start to let it get into here, the harder it is to work. If I let it get out here, it's gonna pull me off balance, okay? So I just press up and down, and I can be creative. I can go single arm, okay? I can turn my hands towards each other. But the entire time, the weight is balanced over a strong neutral wrist, okay? I don't let my wrist bend, curl, okay? Just like when I throw a baseball, okay? My hand is in the same positioning, okay? And if you were to flip me over onto my tummy, it would look the same, okay? If I was to do a push-up, let's angle down, okay? Hands go here, a little bit wider than shoulder width, okay? And then I keep my weight loaded over top of my elbows, all right? Now, if you were to look at this from the side, what you'll notice is that I'm not flaring high like this, okay? I'm letting my elbows come down at more of a 45-degree angle, okay? The more I get into this position here, the harder it is on my shoulder, especially as a baseball player, okay? Moving into our rows, all right? If we were to do a seated row posture, okay, I'm reaching forward and pulling back, okay? You can take this position and rotate it 90 degrees, okay? And do what we call a single arm row, okay, from this position here. Again, look at my positioning, look at my back, okay? I'm not rounded, okay? I'm holding myself nice and flat and solid, okay? This arm's not bent, okay? And I have good connection with the bench, both hand and knee, okay? I let the weight come down towards the ground, and then I pull up. Notice how I'm pulling towards my rib cage, okay? And I'm not shrugging my ear to my shoulder, okay? If you're interested in why we don't want to do that as baseball players, try this at home, okay? Hold your hands up like this, shrug your ears to your shoulders, okay? And notice how we start to tilt forwards, okay? But as a baseball player, how hard I throw a baseball is correlated with how well my hand can lay back in my shoulder socket. So if I'm doing this, now I can't lay back as far and I can't throw the ball as hard, okay? So for something like a row, I Again, maintain posture, pull high, and move in a slow and controlled manner, okay? For all of these exercises, okay, what we call tempo is very important, okay? Believe it or not, you create more strength gains when you lower a weight down, right? When I'm on my downstroke for a squat, or I'm lowering my hand down for a row, or I'm lowering my hands down for my chest press. Okay? You build more strength in that part of the movement than you do when you work forward. Okay? So pay attention to the tempo. All right? You should be able to count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, up, hold. Okay? If we're moving rapidly, okay, we're losing posture and we're using muscles that we don't want to use, okay? The reason we have these different exercises is we try to key on certain muscle groups that we talked about earlier, okay? And if I start moving too quick, or if I start moving improperly, your body is going to inherently use the muscles that it thinks are the strongest and best effective for doing that exercise. For a lot of us, when we do upper body stuff, it's going to be shrugs, okay? And for when we're doing our lower half stuff, it's going to be our quads. People are going to shift forward onto their toes, okay? So those are 4 basic movement patterns that you can get creative with, okay? And add a little bit of weight to in a safe way, all right? Now, before I let you go, in case you're coming into the dome to use the workout equipment here, we're going to go on a little bit of an adventure here, and I'll show you the various machines. All right, so come on over here. This weight stack here, okay, we've got 1 and 2 handles up top. All right, so I can use it for a lat pull down, both with 2 hands, okay, and with 1. Okay. It also has 2 handles down below, down in here. Okay. And I can grab those and treat it just like the hex bar, okay, or a bar on the ground, and work from there. I can do my squats, okay. I can do some straight leg bends, okay. I can do some lunges, okay. The great thing about this one is there's no bar, okay. We don't have to worry too much about our back, all right. So I think it's a great one to use for 15U, okay. Moving over to this guy here. Okay. This is just a seated row machine, okay. So if I move my camera guide this way, thank you, Corey, okay. Posture, nice and tall, and I pull towards me. Looks just like your single arm row, but now we're seated, okay. If you ever want to change the resistance, okay, they all have these brightly colored clips. You take it out, put it into another little hole, okay? That's going to make it easier or harder. This guy here, okay, looks similar to the one we had over there, okay, but we can change the handles. You can see this one's got ropes, okay? I can use it for tricep extensions, or we've got a wide bar here, okay? I can use this for a row, okay? Or we can interchange into the smaller handles, okay? I can go a row up top, okay? So look around for the equipment that's surrounding the weight stack, okay? And if you have any questions, let us know. We've got our dumbbells set over here. You're ever looking to do some very baseball specific movements, okay? The medicine balls are great, all right? area here. Okay. I can do throws and pushes. Okay. Where I'm trying to move that medicine ball as fast as I can. Okay. Couple more things down here. We have our racks. Okay. What I'm going to recommend, don't use these until we're working in a more supervised setting. Okay. They're great tools. Okay. But there are ways that we can improve our athletic performance without using them for now. Okay. Hopefully we can get together again before Christmas and I can show you guys how to use them on your own. But for now, let's stay away. Last but not least, okay, we have our TRXs. So these are cables that are connected to, close the dialog box here, connected to the wall. Okay. They have handles there. Okay, so I can lean back and it supports me. We can do rows, we can do flies, okay, or I can flip them around and we can do push-ups, pec flies. Okay, they're very versatile. If you're looking for more TRX related exercises, YouTube is a great resource for that stuff. Okay, so we'll head back into the weight room here. Okay, and I'll run you through 2 quick, easy workouts. Okay. So, first one, we're going to pair squats. Okay. With push-ups. Okay. How many should I do? Typically, we like to say 3 or 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps. Okay. 10 to 12 repetitions done 3 or 4 times. Okay. Is a good parameter for moving the weight. It's not heavy enough where we might hurt ourselves, but heavy enough that we don't have to do it 20 times. Okay. Ideally, as we get towards the end of our sets, okay, we're starting to fatigue a little bit, and repetition 10, 11, and 12, we're having to struggle through, but in a safe way. Okay. We don't ever want to drop weights. Okay. So you'll go back and forth between those 2, squats and push-ups, squat, push-up, squat, push-up, squat, push-up. Okay. And then you'll move on. The reason I like pairing exercises together like that use different muscle groups is you can keep your heart rate up and get a little bit of a cardiovascular workout in as you do your strength training. Okay. It's like combining a 25-minute bike ride with our resistance training. Okay. Once you're done those, lunges. Okay. I like to do a reverse lunge. So I start here and I step back. Okay. Make sure that whenever you do lunges, you do both sides. So if you're doing 4 sets of 10, that's 10 on your right, 10 on your left. Okay. And then your back exercise. For me, single arm row. Now let's say I don't have a bench available. I can go into a split stance, okay, just like my lunge, bend myself at the hips, and pull high there. Okay. So you're going to do lunges and rows. Lunge left, lunge right, row left, row right. Go through those 3 or 4 sets. Okay. Those are your 2 main compound lifts, compound pairings. Okay. If we're looking for a little bit of extra for our shoulders, with some lighter weights, okay, 5s, out to the side, hold, lower down slow, thumbs up, hold, lower down slow, side, front, side, front, side, front. Okay? Again, 10, 12, 4 sets. Okay? For those that are looking to do some forearm work, okay, I love to do just simple twists, okay, or curls. Okay? If you're looking to hit your arms, okay, the elbow joint's one of the simplest ones, okay? It bends and extends, okay? Bend and extend, okay? You can go up overhead and extend there, okay? Or bend here, all right? And then core. Core should always be a part of all your workouts. We touched on how important it is earlier, okay? I like to do it at the start, okay? If you do it at the start, it helps prep your system for the rest of your workout, okay? Our second one, okay, we'll do a step up. So this is workout number 2, step ups, okay? That's a pretty high bench, okay? I'd be fine with a staircase, okay? You're gonna pair those with a pec fly. Pull those hands together, okay? Then with a little bit of weight on your hips, okay? We're gonna lift our pelvis off the ground and drop it down, okay? Look at it from the side, lift and down. This is a great little glute exercise, okay? And we'll pair that with reverse fly, okay? I'm in my split stance, reaching out to the sides. Great little back exercise. Again, hitting those arms, curl and press, or our drive line routine, and then following that up with core. Okay? That's all I have for you today. Okay? I'm gonna stop the recording